All right, let's work through a question on budget constraints. So as with all these videos, I'll be walking through the question explaining how I'm parsing the information and how I'm approaching thinking about going through the solution. Okay, so let's take a look. All right, for each scenario below, draw a relevant budget constraint. Use a separate graph for each part of the question. Your graph should have S on the horizontal and L on the vertical. So I'm just going to make a note of that. S on the horizontal, L on the vertical. All right, be certain to label your axes clearly. Also label any intercepts, kinks, and slips with the numerical values. Just want to make certain I do that so I get full credit. All right, let's get going with our first one, A here. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and make certain that I remember to set up my graph the right way. S on the horizontal, L on the vertical. Okay. Athena gets utility from hours of leisure and slices of pizza, S. She has 10 hours of available time each week. Make a note of that over here on the side. Right. Athena can do research assistant work for professor that pays $10 an hour. Gonna make a note of that. Right. And pizza costs $2 a slice. Just gonna make a note of that as well. Okay, so right off the bat, if L is leisure, right, and we're measuring leisure on the vertical axis here, we know that 10 is going to be the most that she can have in terms of hours of leisure, right? All right, so now in terms of slices of pizza, right, well, if she's got 10 hours, she could work all those hours and make $100, right? So with $100 at $2 a slice, that would give us 50 slices of pizza. So that is going to be my endpoint over here. There's my budget line, right? And so my slope for that budget line is just going to be that 10 over 50, which is just that negative 1 over 5. Right. All right. Now the other way I could think about that slope is that it's really the price of a slice over the price of an hour of leisure, right? Where the price of a slice is $10, the price of an hour of leisure is that $10 I'm giving up from work, right? So that 2 over 10 would have also given me that 1 over 5. All right, let's try part B now. Everything is the same as in part A, except due to inflation, the price of pizza increases by 25%, and research assistant wages increase by 25%. All right, so once again, right off the bat, I want to get my axes right here. 10 hours is still 10 hours. Nothing has changed there, okay? And now, if I think about this, right, where did this number come from? It came from what I could earn with my $10 or 10 hours of work times my wage divided by what a piece of pizza costs. So if I'm multiplying this by 25% and I'm multiplying this by 25%, those cancel out, I still get 50, right? And so my slope is still negative 1 over 5, right? So recognizing that saved me a little bit of time in answering this question, right? All right, let's move on to part C. Everything is the same as in part A, except that Athena finds a $20 bill on the street. All right, once again, S and L are my two axes, right? $20 bill does not buy me any more leisure time, right? So I still have 10 hours as my leisure. What a $20 bill does do is it can buy me more pizza, right? And at $2 a slice, it can buy me 10 more slices, right? And so instead of 50 total slices, I can now buy 60 total slices. So what's happening here is everywhere along my budget line originally, I can now buy 10 more slices than I could before. So I'm moving this out by 10. And so the slope here is still negative 1 over 5, right? It's still the case that every time I give up an hour of leisure, I make $10 that can buy me 5 more slices of pizza. But, right, even if I don't work at all, that $20 bill gets me those first 10 slices. And so that accounts for this kink in the budget line. All right, last but not least here, part D. Once again, everything the same as part A, but the professor gives her a free slice of pizza for every hour she works. If she works a fraction of an hour, she gets a fraction of a slice of pizza. So if she worked 15 minutes, she'll get a free quarter slice of pizza. All right, so this sounds a bit more complicated. So still, if she doesn't work at all, she gets 10 hours of leisure. All right. And so now let's think about what's happening here. So if she works an hour, she gets $10, which is 5 slices of pizza in terms of what she can buy, plus she gets an additional slice of pizza from her boss, right? So 1 hour work is going to give us 5 slices from the $10, right? Plus 1 slice from the boss. So basically, every hour she gives up, she gets 6 more slices, right? And so that means that if she gives up all 10 hours, she gets 60 slices now, much like up here, except the difference is that it's at a 1 to 6 slope here. Right? All right. So there is our budget constraint question.